Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand. I am your host, Grant McGaw, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal branding and business development company. I want to take you on a journey that takes another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal story, business conversations, and tips to improve your personal brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand podcast series, you will be able to differentiate yourself from the competition and allow you to build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build trust, and reflect who you are. Developing your 5-star personal brand is a great way to demonstrate your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh, spelled M-C-G-A-U-G-H, at 5-star BDM, B for brand, D for development, M for masters.com. Now let's begin with our next 5-star episode on Follow the Brand. Welcome to the Follow the Brand podcast. I'm your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, where we help you to build a 5-star brand that people will follow. Are you showing up unapologetically as yourself in business and your personal life? Are you leading with wisdom, experience, and a systems approach for success in 2023? My next guest, Mary Henderson, has over 40,000 hours of training and coaching expertise that she is willing to share with you. She helps industry experts commercialize their knowledge, wisdom, and skill sets into a business and a brand. She looks not for influence, but wisdom to engage with clients to be more believable, trustworthy, and outcomes driven. She is a systems thinker who understands the core problem that your customer needs to solve. Known as a complex problem solver, she teaches you to brand yourself natively in who you are in your natural state of being. Her teaching is based on the three-pronged approach of systemization, implementation, and embodiment. She helps you to tap into your unseen potential on a day-to-day basis. Don't spend your whole life in the scarcity mindset or the fix-it mindset, says Mary Henderson. Go on a journey with her and discover the currency of self-awareness. Mary is an internationally recognized personal branding and digital business specialist. Mary has 20 plus years of experience building 7- and 8-figure businesses and building high-performance sales teams in the IT sector, and 15 years delivering online solutions for large and small businesses. She has been featured in many publications and is regarded as a thought leader in the digital sector. Mary's main point of difference is her personal branding technology, a SaaS platform that has the ability to define a person's brand essence with a precision that can be applied across all communication touchpoints. She is also the founder of Lights, Camera, Action, and an end-to-end coaching program that delivers tangible outcomes. When you engage Mary, you access 40,000 plus hours of experience, knowledge, and wisdom in personal branding, client profiling, lead generation strategies, online course development, sales leadership, content development, and digital acumen. Mary embraces technology and social media in a big way, and her followers are growing daily. Mary is a heart-centered, compassionate, and tenacious entrepreneur who thrives on human transformation and witnessing people fulfill their dreams. Let us welcome Mary Henderson to the Follow the Brand podcast, where we are building a 5-star brand that you can follow. Hello, everyone, and I want to thank you for continuing to tune in to the Follow the Brand podcast. I have been doing some very, very special things with very, very special folks throughout the world. So I'm going to bring you in the Brand Masters season, one of the most respected personalities in this particular field. This is her niche. This is what she does. This is her blood. She breathes this, and she works with people. And I just found out, because she's all the way over in Melbourne, just found out she loves people in the United States. And I'm like, what? Oh, yeah. So we're going to bring her up. We're going to find out what makes her special and what makes her clients special as they work with her. So, Mary, you like to introduce yourself?
How are you, Grant? And thank you for having me. This is I'm already feeling the energy between you and I, so I can't wait to get into it. And as you said, I live in Melbourne, Australia, hence the accent. It's funny because 85, maybe even 90% now of my clients are all based in the US. So I love that. I have a very strong affinity to the US. I lived in LA for 4 years, actually. Maybe we might touch on that later on. I help industry experts commercialize their knowledge, wisdom, and skill set into a business and a brand. And I very much focus on those two areas because my passion is to commercialize personal brands. If it's not commercialized, I don't know what you do with a personal brand, quite frankly. But, I have a very systems thinking approach to the work that I do. And I work with people who predominantly and only actually have a minimum of 10,000 hours dedicated to their specialization. Anyone that doesn't meet that criteria, I can't help them.
That is interesting. When we say 10,000 hours, is that work time? Is that career-wise? How do you define that?
I look at people that have a specialization, let's say finance, for example, and I always look at how many years have you dedicated to that one specialization? And you find that most people have worked in that one area that they know for sure for 10, 20, even 30, 40 years. And I look at that as my foundation. And the reason for that, Grant, is that everybody wants to be famous for being famous. And I got a little bit fed up with that. I was getting a lot of people inquiring for my services especially on LinkedIn. And most of the people that were inquiring actually just wanted to be famous. That was the downright truth. And these are people that have got 500,000-600,000 followers, mind you. So we would look at them as the influencers, but actually they're not influencing anybody. And they're certainly not making money from those 500,000 followers. So I had to make a decision, and I thought, I don't want to work with people like that. I want to work with people who are specialists. I want to help people who are transitioning from their careers, from senior executive roles into consultancies or coaches or, starting their own business essentially. And for me, having that level of inventory, packed with their knowledge, their passions, their gifts, their natural talents, that gives me a lot of inventory to work with. And it's been the best thing I could have done.
I'm glad you're doing it. Me and you are birds of a feather. And I say that because the way that I approach personal branding is very similar to what you just said. It doesn't matter, I need so many followers. Like, no. What do you do for a living? And how have you, promoted yourself? What are you doing to make yourself different in front of the eyes of the people that can take advantage of what you do? How are you solving problems, for people that need your services is very, very important. How are you communicating? Like in the past, if all you've got is a resume and a bio and a CV, well, that's changed. People are using search, they're using social. They're going to look you up. They're not looking up, all the most famous people to help them, solve that problem. So that is good. So let me ask you this, because this is important. I think we're on a similar track. What is your definition of personal branding, as it is different from what you just said about influencers?
I think for me, what I look for is not influence. I look for wisdom. For me, the currency lies in wisdom. When someone's engaging me, they're engaging my 40,000 plus hours in my area of specialization. They're not engaging me for the way that I look, for the height of my body, the size of my body, how many followers I have. They're actually engaging me because they know that I have got the experience that backs up what I'm claiming, what I'm promising. So for me, the currency lies in wisdom. And we can look at personal branding from two sides of one coin. One side is that knowledge, wisdom, and skill set, the wisdom. The other side is you, the human being, are the business. You are the business. So who are you in your natural state of being? How do you show up unapologetically yourself with all of the attributes that define your soul print, your DNA print? No one else's. You're not inspired to be anyone else. You are absolutely in love with being yourself. So for me, those two need to come together in order to show up as a brand so that you can be believable and trustable.
Well, let's back that up because that's beautiful. That's the end game. I think everybody got the end game because that's where you're going to be. And that applies to almost everybody. Within that category, because you've been doing certain things in your career or your business for a number of years, and you have to step back and look at like, how is that branded as far as myself? Now, I want to ask Mary, before she got into this portion of her career, that pivotal point, what got you interested in personal branding?
Well, interesting that you asked that question because for me, the sliding door moment actually happened 22 years ago when nobody knew what personal branding was. And so I was working in the IT sector, actually, in a middle management role. And it was my first sort of step up, if you will, into management. And it was a new role, a new company, new career. And my boss said, Mary, there's good news and there's bad news. The good news is you've got this amazing opportunity. The bad news is you've got 12 weeks to fix this problem. And there was a really major problem with this one client that I was managing. Anyway, so I'm thinking, oh my God, like they didn't tell me that in the interview. Oh, and by the way, Mary, the three predecessors before you that are no longer here, they were trying to solve that problem and they couldn't solve that problem, which is why they're no longer here. And I'm like, okay, all right, well, everything comes in threes. Maybe the fourth one, I'll be able to solve that problem. But I am a systems thinker. So immediately I was like, oh, bring on the challenge because I knew that that's how my brain processes information. So off I go and meet the client. The person who was the decision maker didn't show up to the meeting. And I'm sitting in this meeting looking around thinking, I've got 12 weeks to fix this problem. And the person I need to speak to isn't in this meeting. So I leave the meeting, feeling sorry for myself. The lift door opens. I walk in. There's a woman in that lift and she's checking me up and down. And I'm, walking in, have my back turned towards her. I was wearing red snakeskin boots that day. And she looks at me and she's like, oh, I need to have those boots. And I looked at her and intuitively, I knew it was the person who was supposed to be in my meeting who didn't show up. So I said, is your name such and such? Yes, it is. I said, you didn't show up to my meeting. Yes, well, sarcastically, that's because we're pulling our business away from your company because clearly you guys can't deliver in full and on time. And I'm done with that. And I said, no, hang on. I said, I'm new. She said, yes, so was the one before you and the one before you and the one before you. So I said, are you going downstairs to have lunch? Yes, I am. I said, please let me buy you lunch. No, I'm not interested. Please just give me 5 minutes. Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes. So we sat down for that 5 minutes and the most miraculous thing happened, Grant. I realized in that moment a few things. Number one is we connected from a like-minded zone, which were the actual boots. Okay, that was number one. Number two, I had the ability to listen, put my ego in my back pocket and actually genuinely listen to her concerns. One of which was, I'm going to lose my job if we don't increase the fulfillment rates because we have customers that we need to serve. And because of your company, we can't serve the customers. Okay, that's the core problem. The core problem is what's in it for me. That was the core problem. So I asked her, I said, if you give me 12 weeks, can I sit in your office with your operations team and understand your system so I can match it with our system and we're going to solve this problem together? But I need you to give me 12 weeks. She said, I'll give you 12 weeks. On the 12th week and one day, if it's not solved, you're out. I said, it's a deal. So I left that meeting. Crossing the road, I'll still remember it clear as day. And I thought, oh my God, I've got an opportunity of a lifetime here. I am going to solve this problem, and I am going to command my own demand in this industry, and I am going to be known as a complex problem solver in the IT industry, so I can actually create my own demand from other organizations, other vendors, and I'm going to be the hottest thing in this industry. That was my mindset. So I left that meeting. 12 weeks later, I completely fixed the problem. We went from an $8 million business to a $22 million business in 18 months. And I got to tell you, the job offers were just flying in from all over the world. I ended up taking a job offer from an American company based out in California. And I was there for 4 years fixing the same problem. And so it was there that I actually understood the power of personal branding, keeping in mind that it was a sales role. My next role was VP of sales. I converted all of my sales team, not into job descriptions or job titles, into personal brands. They all were branded based on who they are in their natural state of being. I took time out to understand each individual. Who are you? What's your background? What do you love? What are your passions? What are your values? So I unpacked all these 30, 40 salespeople and said, throw your job descriptions in the bin. I already know you're in sales, but what makes you you? Because when I understand what makes you you, I can match you to the right portfolio and we can kick ass. Well, that business I took over at 4 million and we grew that to 54 million in 48 months with triple digit margins, unheard of in IT, as you know. And then in 2005, I resigned I left that to start my own entrepreneurial journey. So in 2005, I started my software company, and I had that for 7 years until I hit rock bottom in 2012 and realized this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. And then in 2012, I took a 12-month sabbatical. I was mentored by a professor in philosophy, another academic who was an expert in the emotional body. And those two things, plus I also did a 12-month course in quantum medicine at Quantum University in Hawaii. And so I did so much work on understanding who I am. Really what I was searching for was, what is my purpose in life? Like, what am I meant to be doing? But those 12 months changed the trajectory of my life, because what happened, Grant, is that I realized that I had some magic. I could do things that other people couldn't do with ease and grace. I knew how to sell. I knew personal branding, which I already turned into a framework, and I knew that it worked, but I also knew how to think and design systems. That was the one thing that I had that most people didn't have. So then it took me 3 years to realize I can solve a complex problem. I'm going to merge all of this deliciousness that's inside of me, and I'm going to design a system made up of frameworks that is 100% outcome driven, so I can actually help people turn their genius into a brand and a business. And that's where I'm at today.
You have done a phenomenal job. I love the story that you started with, a very challenging scenario that you took and turned it into a success. You said, you know what, I'm going to put this on my back. I'm going to make this happen. You delivered. And then you were on this upward trajectory, right? And it took you all the way out to California, where you then took on another major endeavor. And my God, from 4 million to 54 million. Wow. I mean, kudos. I mean, that is phenomenal. And then understanding, this is 2005, 2006. Personal branding, nobody even hardly knows what that is. Most people, or no books out there. No one's doing that. But you understood how to then utilize that type of skill set to make yourself different. It's a differentiator when you're going out to approach people about solving their problems through sales applications, right? Then this is what, this is the most intriguing part of your story that I got out of. It's that then you went through a failure. You went through a time in your life where all the things were working right. All of a sudden it wasn't. And everything that you took and like, man, it was working for me, and now it's not. I'm stuck. And you went to a mentor. You got the right person to then help you to reframe yourself, rebrand yourself, bring all your attributes to the table. Here it is now, a decade later. And the thing that stood out about me when it came to your brand mastery was the fact that you've got a very detailed framework that you work people through. You know
Mhm.
exactly who your client is, and you're 100% confident if they work with you, they will be successful.
That's right, Grant. And there's also one other piece that which I think is extremely important, which most people don't do, and that's the embodiment of that version of you. Because we can build things, we can implement, and this is very much a masculine power system. We see it in the corporate sector. The corporate sector is a masculine power system made up of survival. You are fighting for power. You are in there to survive. That's the name of the game. There's no touchy-feely in corporate. It's all very masculine. So, but it's very important to also bring that ideology when you're starting your own business, because you still have to do all of the implementation. So my frameworks are very much based on implementation, whether it's the branding part, whether it's systemizing your solution, what I call the signature solution, whether it's designing your digital assets, or whether it's the lead generation strategies. All of these require implementation. They require action. But then once all that is done, what I found is that even with my sales team when I was in corporate, it was like everyone's doing, but I need them to be themselves. I need that embodiment of that version, because that's where potential lies. And until people actually realize their potential, they're just going to be robotic. It's going to be like a function of wake up, do this, hope for the best. For me, it's like, okay, we have to implement, but I've got to embody that version because I need to tap into my potential on a day-to-day basis. So the strategies, if you will, that I was taught throughout my mentoring, and mind you, the professor of philosophy mentored me for 12 months. That changed my life. But my other mentor was with me for 4 years, and I really, really delved in very, very deeply in truly understanding how the unconscious, the subconscious, and our higher conscious, what is the role of each one as me as a human being. And until we actually understand that, you can implement as much as you want. You can have the most beautiful personal brand in the entire universe, but you're never, ever going to reach that full potential, because you're not going there. You're just staying in your comfort zone. And what I like to do is I like to get people to implement, and then we go on the journey of embodiment. And that takes on a whole new meaning of personal branding.
This episode is brought to you by 5-Star BDM. 5-Star BDM is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for small to mid-sized businesses and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement in operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our 5-Star business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. The result is more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Please visit www.5starbdm.com to learn more and view all the episodes of Follow the Brand. I know we're birds of a feather now. I mean, really, you've said something that as I started on my own journey on personal branding, when I would say the word brand, people will automatically start thinking about colors and creation, around
Yeah.
the logos and, your web, your digital footprint. Like, no, personal branding is all about you and then the understanding of you. What do you understand about yourself? So now when you start that journey, that's an inner journey that you've got to now traverse, and it's a mountain. You've got to
Yes.
unpack a lot of those experiences that you've had, not just taking all the good things and parking them over here. Look at all the challenges that you've had and how that's molded you over time, and take all of you, not just part of you, taking all of you. And what you said, that higher self, that middle ground, that subconscious layer, then that conscious world, and all three of those things are very, very delicate, and it'll take you through some emotion and some challenges and some feelings and some thoughts like, wow, I didn't even know how deep the water goes.
Yes, that's absolutely right. And most people are not aware of how deep the wire is. It's not even goes. And to me, I always say, Grant, and I don't know if you're the same, but the most powerful gift that we have been given that no one seems to put any, currency on is our self-awareness. The moment you have self-awareness, the game changes, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think that this is we've got to look at our life in these from these layers, not from outside in. We have to look at it from inside out. The question of who am I think is a very important, potent, deep, wide question. You can go so many layers. You can read so many books. You can listen to so many podcasts. You can listen to so many spiritual teachers. There's so much available. And whilst I support all of that, I think that the greatest lesson that I have received in my life is just through being in complete silence and really embodying that version of me, really listening, understanding what is really going on, having the courage to confront what's really going on, to actually say that my life's not going the way I want it to. Something's not right. Something doesn't feel right. Why is it feeling like this? What's really going on? And to really get to that narrow point so that you can actually show up as unapologetically yourself. You're not looking for self-gratification. You don't care whether you get 1 like on your post or 1 million likes on your post. It's not important. It doesn't define you. And what I find, sadly, is adults are so fixed on this idea, this notion that if I post a post on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram and I get 1 like, oh my God, God forbid, there's something wrong with me. And so we go into this mindset of fixing myself. So everyone's fixing themselves, but actually not showing up as and understanding what is my true potential, what is my higher potential. But everyone's great at fixing themselves. Oh, I got 1 like on my post. There must be something wrong with the post. I better fix that. So this is the world that we've created. We've created this world. And personal branding for me doesn't live there. It really is it starts from inside and then comes out. My whole philosophy is very different.
No, without question, that is where you're going to get your confidence. You cannot gain your confidence based on the outer world and its reactions. I tell a lot of people, especially when it comes to social media, when it comes to likes, comments, shares, that's a small visible part of the audience that's actually engaging with your content. You really don't know. There could be thousands of people because they just haven't made themselves visible. But don't do it if that's your goal, if that's what makes it fun for you. I'm going to put this out there and then I'll get all this reaction. And if I don't get reaction, it's no longer fun. Then you might want to stop now. Personal branding is nowhere near anything like that. Personal branding for me is about focusing on your uniqueness for solving the problems of others. Meaning, I'm not just putting anything out there. I'm putting information out there that I think will be beneficial to the person or persons that will engage with the knowledge. Right now, someone needs to hear from Mary Henderson. They need to understand. They can relate to the journey that you just talked about and say, yes, because I'll tell everybody who listens to this podcast this, you will only go so far without good coaching. You will only go so far. In other words, you'll probably end up circulating, but you will not elevate. Because this person, and you get the right coach, obviously, that person is going to start bringing you up to where they are, and they understand the gap between who you are and where you need to be. And I think that's important.
Well, Grant, that's why the embodiment work is very important. And you're absolutely right. What makes me sad is when I see people that I get to speak to who genuinely want to convert their knowledge, wisdom, and skill set into a business. They can definitely solve a problem. There's no shadow of a doubt there. The problem is that they've spent their whole life in this scarcity mindset. I'm going to fix it myself. See, it's the fixing mindset. I'm going to do it myself. What I'll do is, if I just watch Mary's free masterclasses, I'll be able to work out what her methodology is, what her formula is. The thing is, Grant, how can you actually figure out my 22 years of knowledge, wisdom, and skill set? I mean, that would be impossible. Just yesterday, I have my group coaching twice a week, but last night, there was 3 hours of just unbelievable information that was exchanged in those 3 hours. And I was actually saying to my clients, oh my God, all these people that think that they're getting freebies, watching your free webinars and masterclasses, the actual genius is in the actual coaching. It's not in the free content. And what they do, Grant, is they try and glue these little pieces together. It's like a jigsaw puzzle, but the jigsaw puzzle can break just like that. It's never ever a solid one piece of a cardboard. It's all little pieces put together. And what I find sad is that you get to a certain age, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, and you're still on the poverty line. You still have a scarcity mindset, and you're still trying to fix a problem that you were trying to fix 10 years ago. Something's telling you that something's not right. Okay. For me, if I've tried something 3 times in a matter of 3 weeks, my mindset is, I need someone to help me. I need to pay someone to help me solve this problem. I haven't got the time to solve it. But, you have to actually be diligent in your thoughts. You have to be diligent in your disciplines that you set for yourself. You have to be diligent with money. You have to be but most people don't have that discipline. They react to life. They're not in control of their life. So therefore, how do you create a brand if you're constantly reacting to life? It's not going to happen. It'll just break down at some point. So I find that very, very sad. I've spent so many years mastering patience, mastering listening. I must be grounded. I ground myself every day. I need to be present. I need to follow through on my discipline. There are some practices that I do every day that are very important to me. They're important to my psychology, my well-being. If I'm in order, my clients will be in order. So it's just a philosophy that I've established and adapted because it works.
No, and I'm gonna go back to what you said about information. Information and knowledge, especially in this post-COVID world, even during COVID, it's easy to gain. You can get a lot of information and you can get a lot of knowledge, from, especially when anyone's doing any type of free content. Typically, that's what you're going to get. And it's good. I'm not saying it's not, but it's great. But what you will never get, and I've been in sales 20 to 25 years, when you get to the application layer, you can't do these things unless you're doing it. The organizational layer, how do you work yourself through certain challenges and problems? You're never going to be able to get that through a free content that's out there. This is why you employ someone. Just like, hey, I'm going to build a house. Well, guess what? You can watch a ton of YouTubes and watch them go through the process of building a house. I guarantee you, when you start picking up the hammer and start building it yourself, it will not be the masterpiece that you intended it to be.
So true. So true, Grant. And you're right. I think it's a mindset, Grant. I really do. I think that, you either believe in mastery and you want to master the best version of you, or you're not interested in that and you're happy to go through life reacting. I think there's 2 groups of minds that in this world. And I think, unfortunately, the majority are in the reactive group.
And this is good, because I know anyone listening to our podcast, especially at this point, they've gained some knowledge, they've gained some wisdom. I want to ask you one more question before we conclude, and that is, how does a person, they've got the 10,000 hours, they've got some wisdom, they've got some knowledge, they've got some skill set, but they definitely need some coaching. How do they find the right coach? Because you might find good coaches, but that might not be the right coach for you. What would you say to that?
I am one of those people that work back to front, not front to back. So if I was somebody, I would say, this is what I'm trying to achieve. This is what I want to achieve. My end goal is this. Let's just say I want to start a consulting business. That's what I really want to do. At the moment, I'm in my executive role and I want to leave that role, but I don't want to leave without a contingency plan. So you start at the end and you'll work your way, you work your way back. So if my goal is to start a coaching or a consulting business, I need to find someone who can not help me elevate my hobby or my side hustle, but somebody who can actually help me build and implement all of the moving parts. So I'm building my contingency plan whilst I'm still in my job. This is very important. The other thing is, Grant, a lot of people think that when they start a business, I'll get a website, I'll put up a sales page, a lead magnet, give something away for free, and go and get leads. That's all I need. And I'm going to say that if anyone is doing that today, you are absolutely going to fail. It is not. That's not a business. That's just a side hustle. Because we need to understand today that your customer craves and commands an ecstatic brand experience across every touch point, not just your website, across every touch point. The other thing is that the consumer or the customer, the client, is really smart today. The client that is your prospect that you're trying to engage on or off social media, I can assure you that they will be watching you for a minimum of 3 to 6 months before they even think, oh, I trust that person. I think that person's got something to say. Before they then move into what I call the no love buy phase. Before they need to get to know you, which takes 3 to 6 months, then they'll get to love you if you continue the experience, giving them an ecstatic experience before they actually buy from you. We have to understand the psychology here. It's not just, oh, I'll build a website and I'll get a couple of leads and a few clients and I'm set. It doesn't work like that anymore. It just doesn't. It just does not work like that. I've been in business since 2005. I'm still at it every day, hardcore, getting my clients, making sure that I show up, making sure that I create amazing content, so I can continue creating that relationship, with the people that are watching me. They genuinely do like me. They love me. They already know me. They're in the love phase. They're the people that I'm nurturing. And one more thing, and this is the very important. When people are looking at starting that business, it's not just about, oh, I want to start a coaching or consulting business. Understand how to implement all of the moving parts. The key to our success in business is understanding how to build successful pipelines 2 to 5 years in the future. And people don't think like this, Grant. I know you do, but I can tell you most people don't. They're like, a pipeline. What is it? What is a pipeline? So I'm focused right now on closing the sales for 2023 and 24. 2022 is done for me, but I have a pipeline that's very healthy that I've been nurturing that give me business for 2023. They're already being nurtured. I've already set them up to go down the path I want them to go when they're ready. So I feel that when people are looking at this idea of transitioning from corporate to their own business, or even if you are in your business and things are just not going your way, you still have to start back to front, and that is what is my goal? What is it that I need? And what you need is to build a very solid brand foundation. You need to understand the complex problem you can solve so that you can convert that into a system that is outcome driven. You have to deliver outcomes, tangible outcomes, not deliverables, tangible outcomes. You have to show the client how you take them from pain to glory, guaranteed. We have to understand the digital assets that need to be built. And we also need to understand, what does my lead generation strategy look like? What are the layers in my lead generation strategy? How am I going to go to market? And all of these moving parts must be implemented before you can even think about going live.
That was fantastic. You earned the right to be called the brand master. right? So thank you for being a guest on the show. I want you to be able to tell the audience how to get in contact with you, because I'm sure they got their pens ready. They're going to probably rewind, because I guarantee you dropped a lot of wisdom just now. And I love how you stated that, because this is sort of, I get a lot of these calls as well. Like, to get started, you need to understand certain things before
Mhm.
you're ready to say, yes, I'm ready to do this. You need to understand where you're at. You just kind of laid it out and specifically said the time, the patience, the work that you're going to have to do. Here you are, you're 15, 16 years into this, but you love what you do, and that keeps you motivated. I love that. So, Mary,
Absolutely.
how do we get in touch with you?
Well, you can email me, mary@maryhendersoncoaching.com. You can go to my website, maryhendersoncoaching.com. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, Mary Henderson Coaching with a pink circle around my face. Connect with me on Facebook, Mary Henderson Coaching, and Instagram, Mary Henderson Coaching.
One other question. Are you going to come to the United States anytime soon that we could see you live?
Well, that's the plan for 2023. That's the
All right.
plan. Yes.
Nice. Well, I'd love to be able to see you in person. This has been wonderful. I want to tell your audience, if they want to get in touch with me, come to www.5starbdm, and that is B for brand, D for development, M for masters.com. This has been wonderful, and I want to thank you very much for being a guest on the show.
Thank you so much, Grant. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.